Who is your ideal reader? Many nonfiction book authors struggle to sell their books and make an impact because their writing completely misses the mark. I'm not talking about writing style or grammar, although they're certainly important. I'm talking about writing that doesn't resonate, writing that doesn't move the ideal reader's heart and mind. But who is the ideal reader? Stick around, because that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Hi, I'm Sylvia Melena, founder and CEO of Melena Consulting Group and the Nonfiction Book Accelerator Academy, where I help you write, self-publish, and market your first nonfiction book to grow your business, make an impact, and amplify your voice. In this video, I'm going to give you a breakdown of who your ideal reader is and why finding the ideal reader is critical to your results. Let's get to it. So before we get into your ideal reader, I want to call out that there is a distinction between your ideal book buyer and your ideal reader. The book buyer is anyone that will buy your book, and that could be multiple people. But your ideal reader is a single person. It's the person that you are writing your book for because you solve their specific problem. And then that one person is the one that you have the perfect solution for. You either meet their needs or you solve their problem or pain point. And so the reason you want to nail it down to one person, pinpoint it to one person, is because when you do that, it crystallizes your message. It makes your message more impactful, more powerful, more personal. So think about it. You're reading a book and it's speaking directly to you, to your needs, your fears, your aspirations. A lot of authors, even not just first-time authors, but some seasoned authors as well, are really afraid of narrowing down their message in the book to one person. And the reason that they're afraid to narrow it down is because they believe in the lie of the wide net. They think that if I cast a wider net, then I'm going to have a bigger chance of getting lots of fish that are going to fall in my net. But that couldn't be further from the truth. If you speak to a wide audience, to lots of people, your message loses focus. Then you're not speaking to anyone at all. It doesn't resonate, not even with the ideal person that could have benefited from your book. So you want to really look for the one person and speak to the one person from the time you type until you market. So your messaging from beginning to end is speaking to the one person. And the way you're doing that is by building your ideal reader persona. There are three key elements to the persona. There are demographics, psychographics, and the book buying journey. So your demographics are who? Who is your ideal reader? That's who your demographics are. And the demographics include things that you know already: age, income, occupation, educational level, geographic location, gender, ethnicity, and marital status, and much more. Now, the thing about demographics is that not all demographics are important to all books. And what I mean by that is this. Let's take my leadership book as an example. So in my particular book, marital status isn't as important. So for my ideal reader, that person could be married or not married. What matters most for me is that person's specific pain point and their occupation. I can talk about leadership at various levels. It could be an entry-level supervisor, a middle manager, or an executive. So the occupation is more important in my particular book. Now, there may be another leadership book where marital status does matter because of the way they position the book. So how you position your book, it really will impact the demographics. And as you do your demographic research, it'll give you an idea of how to start positioning the book. So those two go hand in hand. And then income is going to matter to all of us because it's going to affect pricing and it's going to affect positioning. Then psychographics. Psychographics are all about the why. Why would he or she buy your book? Why would your ideal reader buy your book? And psychographics are a lot more powerful than the demographics because they're the drivers. They're the ones that are really going to drive the purchasing decision. And they include things such as beliefs, values, hopes, dreams, aspirations, concerns, and fears. And so when you start tapping into that deep level of who I am inside as a person, if you're going to help me alleviate my challenges, my fears, if you're going to help me reach my aspirations, my dreams, then that's much more powerful. So you're really going to touch at their needs, their pain points, and their problems. And so then there's the book buying journey. And the book buying journey is extensive, and there's a lot that goes on in a consumer's mind or your buyer's mind where they're making that decision. But I'm going to talk about the three primary phases. There's awareness. It's that time where they become aware that they have a problem. And awareness can also touch whether or not they're aware that you have a solution. So there's a lot that goes on with awareness. Then there's that consideration phase. They're considering their options or solutions. And they could be considering your book as part of that solution or your other services. And finally, there's that decision-making stage. That's when I decide on what solution or what array of solutions. I could buy more than one thing. I could buy several packages. Competition in book buying isn't the same as in competition when you're buying a car. When you're buying a car, you buy one. And that is it. And at that price tag, it'll be a while, so several years before you buy another car. Now, when you're buying a book, you can buy one, you can buy two, you can buy three. So know that when I say competition, it's more co-opetition, because as book authors, you can cooperate with other authors in your niche, and that's okay. That makes you much more powerful. So let me share a little bit about my ideal book reader or my ideal reader persona. So my ideal book reader is Crystal. She's 28. She's the social services supervisor. She's talented, eager, outgoing, competitive, passionate. She's a really good supervisor. Now, one thing I didn't write down is she's brand new. She just reported to her role. And she wants to be the best at what she does because of her competitive nature. So she wants to be really, really well. She wants to excel. And really, to her, there's only one place in being the best, and that's being number one. She hangs out with friends and family. She's big time into her family. One thing I didn't write down is she loves pets. She actually has some Labrador retrievers, and she loves being on social media. Now, Crystal, as great as she is, does have her needs, problems, and pain points. The thing with her is that she's inherited a unit of social services employees, and she has one employee in that unit that's really struggling with performance. And so she, being new, she doesn't really know how to fix it. I mean, she wants to, she's engaged, but she doesn't really know how. And she fears losing. Remember, she's competitive. And what I mean by that is this particular organization she's in has lots of transparency. The data's published on performance, and she sees how this one person is making her statistics or her performance indicators go down. So it's really bringing down her unit performance. And so she fears losing, and she fears failing in her role. And she's had training. She's had quite a bit of it as a brand new supervisor. This organization provided the training. So it's been fluffy training where it's feel good, rah, rah, kumbaya, but she really didn't walk out with tangible tools. So now she wants real life tools to fix it. So that's why she's looking for a book on Amazon. So my book speaks directly to Crystal. Knowing everything that I know about Crystal, from the time that she cracks open the look inside on Amazon, she reads what the chapters were about, she gets to sample my very first introductory, she knows this book is for her because I tell her it's for her in the way that I position my message. And by the way, you notice that I gave her a name. You want to have a name because then it makes it real for you. Books that feel like someone's speaking to you are more engaging because you truly feel involved in a conversation. So I speak to Crystal directly. And the beautiful thing is, even though I'm speaking to Crystal, remember I talked about the difference between the ideal reader and the ideal book buyer? Well, I wrote it for Crystal, so she's one of my buyers, and but she's not necessarily my ideal buyer. This is my ideal buyer. This is Crystal's executive. And she is the director in the social services organization that Crystal works in. And this director supervises managers. As a matter of fact, she supervises Crystal's manager, and Crystal's manager supervises Crystal. Now, why is this person my ideal book buyer? Because this buyer can not only buy one book, but she's the one that actually bought boxes of 200, of 45, of 100, because she wants to turn around the employee culture. It also caught the eye of the librarian who wants to stock up on a new leadership book, and of university professors. And it also caught the eye of local business owners. So don't be afraid to narrow down your ideal reader to one person, that ideal reader persona. You will catch more fish by trying to catch one. And that's the answer to who is your ideal reader. If you'd like to get started on a nonfiction book that sells, I have a free nonfiction book starter kit for you. I posted a link to this kit right below this video in the description. And if you have any questions whatsoever, just post them in the comments and I'll gladly get back to you. Thanks for watching.